While the Bears defense couldn't stop the Bengals, the Bears offense was good to start, then got better and saved the best for last. Living by Ben Johnson's post-game cheer, good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good gets better. Your better gets best. We'll look back at Colston Loveland's rumble through the jungle to win it for the Bears with Danny Parkins from First Things First on Fox Sports 1. And NFL Hall of Fame writer Dan Pompei checks in. We'll talk about the Bears win. And are they looking to make a deal with the trade deadline tomorrow at 3 o'clock and the loss of Dayo Odeyingbo? It's now on Chicago Sports Tonight. Hi, everyone. I'm Lou Canellis with you on a Bears Victory Monday here on Chicago Sports Tonight. Buzz around town is about how the Bears could look so bad, so ugly on defense and special teams, nearly blow a 14-point lead with just a couple of minutes left, but still come back to beat the Bengals, nearly giving all of us old guys a grabber. Bears and their fans with a chance now to exhale. Take a deep breath, relax a little bit. Tina Nguyen listened in as Ben Johnson and the Bears virtually met with the media today.
A dramatic 47-42 win over the Bengals, coming down to the final minutes where Caleb Williams delivered his fifth fourth-quarter comeback. Behind all the fireworks, the cracks still shown as the Bears' defense and special teams nearly costing them the game.
There's a number of things that we can clean up there, and it's not just any one particular player. It's everybody. It's all the coaches. It's all the players. We got to get this thing fixed. There were a number of elements that we can get better at. That's been the emphasis already today. We talked about it as a team. It's all hands on deck. We're going to get this thing fixed.
There's definitely room to improve, and when we have a chance to end the game, we have to end the game, whether that be on special teams or on defense or on offense. So definitely we keyed in on that today.
There were times this year that I felt like we won in spite of the offense, and this was probably the first time I felt like the offense had a big say in us winning that game, and so that was encouraging to me just for that phase. There's been at least 3 games in my head that we've allowed the opponent to hang around, and we've allowed them to have a little bit of life late in games that we want to start to eliminate that feeling. We want to close these games out a little bit cleaner earlier in the game, and I thought yesterday was an example of that.
With the trade deadline tomorrow at 3, the Bears are dealing with more bad news on their D-line. Dayo Odeyingbo is out for the season with a torn ACL. All eyes now turn to Ryan Poles and whether or not he'll make a move.
It's one of those deals. It feels like we take some strides in particular positions and we take some steps back. You know, it's wild. Felt like we had a solution there with Shamar at defensive end a couple weeks ago, and then we lost him, and then finally get Booker back, and then we lose Dayo. So it's a little bit of give and take. You can never have too many pass rushers. You can never have too many cover players in the back end either. So that's how I've always felt since I've been in this league. I know Ryan and his crew, they've been doing their due diligence all throughout the fall, all the way up until tomorrow to make sure that we're turning over every stone to make sure that if there's a way we can improve this roster, we'll do that.
Well, the Bears are back at home on Sunday to take on a 2-7 Giants team that's given up over 30 points in their last 4 games. Their defense struggling to stop the run and get off the field. A chance for the Bears offense to continue to keep rolling. Reporting from Soldier Field, I'm Tina Nguyen, Fox 32 Sports.
All right, let's bring in Danny Parkins from First Things First on Fox Sports 1. All right, buddy, tell me what it was like in the Danny Parkins New York City penthouse, the final minute 43 seconds of that wild Bears game.
Oh, the penthouse views. It's like, do I look at Central Park or do I look at the Freedom Tower? Which way do you look? It's so tough to be me. But no, it's the basement in suburbia. Thank you for asking, Lou. No, that was a wild game. From the opening kickoff being returned by the Bengals to maybe the most frustrating special teams day in Bears history to a truly special Ben Johnson game. I mean, the first touchdown is a Ben Johnson special. The second touchdown is a Ben Johnson special. Then Loveland gets going. Caleb gets going. The Bengals defense is bad. The Bears defense is bad. Like that's not one where I think you're sending the tape to the Hall of Fame, but it's one that we're not going to forget anytime soon. So I know Ben Johnson said he was pretty stoic throughout that game and pretty even-keeled. I was not. I was an emotional wreck.
Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Dan, these guys have made other defenses look really bad all season long, or at least for sure the last 3-4 games. But Chase and Higgins over the course of their career, Flacco for that matter as well. Is this the NFL today? Limit your bad days and believe you can win every game you play?
Yeah, I think basically what you're saying is correct. Like I think there are a few teams at the top that are great, and you know when they play each other, it feels really special. Like Chiefs Bills felt really special, and then I think there are a few teams at the bottom that tend to be really awful, but you can get out of that fast, right? Because we're not too far removed from saying that Carolina was in that group and they just beat Green Bay and are a really consistently top 10 rushing team in the NFL, to your point. And then there's a huge middle class. And I think the Bears are in that middle class where on any given day, they can look like the 24th best team in the NFL or the 7th best team in the NFL.
The rookie class finally chipped in. Who are you more pleasantly surprised with, Colson Loveland or Kyle Monangai?
Well, listen, Monangai from where he was drafted was the revelation. Like that's you trade Khalil Herbert for a 7th round pick and then use a 7th round pick on a running back who's better than Khalil Herbert. Like that's good general managing. Like that's churning the bottom of your roster. That's maximizing assets. Which are basically lottery tickets at best, throwing darts blind, which is what 6th and 7th round picks are. So I think Monangai, for just like overall health of process, it was pretty great. But Loveland matters more. Like Loveland was a Ben Johnson pick. They took Loveland over Tyler Warren, and he hadn't shown up. Partly due to injury, partly due to new scheme, partly due to chemistry with Caleb Williams, a bunch of reasons. But the fact that he showed up in a big way in the clutch, I think that is like the more significant, like, okay, that validates the resource type of thing. Not that one play validates the resource, but like you saw it. Like you saw tight end, breakaway speed, playmaking ability. Like I think that was a special moment.
You're Ben Johnson this morning. You're thinking ahead to the Giants game next Sunday. Let's say DeAndre Swift is healthy enough to come back and play. Who's your featured running back?
I think that you start with DeAndre Swift and you go into the game totally willing to ride the hot hand. And that is, as my guy Marlo Stanfield in The Wire would say, one of them good problems. Like, they say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. That is not the case with running backs. Like you want to have options. You want to have multiple running backs. So I thought DeAndre Swift was, he looked good against Washington. He looked good against the Saints. So I don't think that against the worst defense in the NFL, Monangai did something that would necessitate me benching Swift and saying that like 20 touches go to Monangai and 4 go to Swift. But I think you go into the game treating it like we're going to ride the hot hand and we're going to keep our running backs fresh. And then by the 4th quarter, who's ever having the better game and having more success, they become the featured back over the course of the game.
2-part question. Did you like the trick plays, number one, and when Ben Johnson went into that big bag of tricks, did you like that as well?
Did anyone not? Is that maybe I'm too removed? I think trick plays are the ultimate Monday morning quarterback thing. Like if they worked, you love them. If you didn't work, you don't. And that's the luxury of being fans and why we're not being paid 8 figures to call the plays. Like Ben Johnson can live with that level of scrutiny, as unfair as it might be. But the Bears needed to put up a ton of points. They knew it. Like they knew it going in. Like we've seen Detroit talk about that a lot. Dan Campbell would talk about it like, I told Jared Goff we're going to be going for it on 4th down in this spot because we know the other team's offense is going to give our defense trouble. Like it sounds like from listening to Caleb postgame that him and Ben Johnson had similar conversations. They knew it was going to be a shootout. They needed to fix their red zone situation. They needed touchdowns instead of field goals. And so I think Ben Johnson felt inclined to go to more of those trick plays because of their red zone struggles. Not that all of them were called in the red zone, but like the goal was big plays and the goal was touchdowns. So in a game where you knew you were going to need to score 35 plus to win and it ended up needing 43 plus, I had no problem with it. I thought they were great.
I've been screaming for it. The Bears finally won a game because of Caleb Williams at the end, right?
I mean, yeah, no question, right? I mean, listen, that was an incredible moment for Caleb. Listen, anytime you can do something that no player in NFL history has ever done, which is throw for 3 touchdowns, run for 50 or more yards, and catch 2 or more passes, literally no one ever has done it before, you had a special day at the office, which is what Caleb Williams did. But Lou, I know you'll like this. Lower the threshold, lower it from 3 passing touchdowns to 2 passing touchdowns. The last player in NFL history to throw for 2 touchdowns, run for 50-plus yards, and catch 2 or more balls, Walter Payton in 1983.
Wow, I like that nugget.
Yeah. So Caleb was great in the fourth quarter. I believe that's 3 go-ahead drives, right, in the fourth quarter in 3 of his last 5 games. He's done it on the road now. I think Caleb very clearly, has that it factor, has that swag. He is very comfortable in those situations. Still got to hit the layups, still have to work on accuracy, still have to work on footwork, still have to work on timing. Like, it's not a finished product, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's not afraid of the moment.
Yeah, I love that Ben Johnson told his team in that post-game celebration, hey, man, if we're in it in the fourth quarter, the other side better look out. I want to talk about the defense before I lose you here. Defense desperately needs a better pass rush, man. Montez Sweat, he had a pretty good game. Austin Booker made things happen when he got in there. No pass rush is not good enough to help this beat-up secondary right now. Trade deadline is tomorrow, Tuesday, Danny. Are you trading for a pass rusher if you're Ryan Poles?
No. I mean, if you can give away one of those lottery tickets and get someone real, sure. But I think we saw now the Eagles had to give up a 3rd-round pick to get Jalen Phillips, and he's coming off of 2 serious leg injuries. So that show tells me that the price is high for the buyers. There's a report that the Bengals still want a 1st-round pick for Trey Hendrickson, even though he isn't under contract next year and can't be tagged. That's crazy. So no, I think the Bears are a flawed team. I think, this past year we saw them, use the majority of their draft resources on the offensive side of the ball with Loveland and Burden and an offensive lineman in 3 of their first 4 picks. My guess is this draft we see the other thing. We see 3 of their top 4 picks or so go, front 7, and even more specifically on the defensive line. Like, it's not a perfect team. If you had Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, you'd have a little bit better coverage in the back end, which would help your pass rush a little bit more. It's complementary for sure, but injuries are a part of it. But no, I don't think you rob Peter to pay Paul at this point. They're not good enough to be selling assets from the future.
8 games in. Where are the Bears on the Parkins playoff meter?
I'd say like 60-40 against. Like I'd say like most likely the schedule gets too tough and they've got too many flaws in order to make it, but they got a real shot. We talked about this, get through the Giants game at 6-3. Like, if you are 6-3 and 7 teams make the playoffs in the NFC, you've given yourself a little margin for error where you just need to pull off one surprising game. And we saw it last year. Like, the Bears won in Lambeau in Week 18. The Bears played the Lions tough in both games and got them in one and could have gotten them on Thanksgiving. The Bears could have beat the Vikings last year when they lost that game in overtime and Caleb scored 27 and passed for 340. Like, the Bears can win as an underdog. We've seen it this year. So, you get to 6-3, and when we talk next week, I think I'll be saying that the Bears are 50-50 to make the playoffs.
All right, I'm going to keep asking on the Parkins playoff meter as we continue. Danny, thanks as always for joining us on a Monday. Enjoy the week. We'll talk after the Bears-Giants game, buddy.
Lou, it's a highlight of my week, man. Great talking to you. And if nothing else, this team is wildly entertaining. Like, it is an entertaining brand of football, so I'm here for it.
Especially coming off of yesterday. Always great to have Danny Parkins on from Fox Sports 1, First Things First, here on Chicago Sports Tonight. Back right after this here on CST. The Bears were 0-40 when giving up 42 or more points in a game. Matter of fact, they had lost 50 games in a row when giving up 30 or more points dating back to the 2013 season. Let's bring in a guy who has seen a ton of Bears football over the last, What do you think, Dan? 45, 50 years? My longtime buddy, NFL Hall of Fame writer Dan Pompei from The Athletic joining us. How long has it been, Dan, since you've been covering the Bears?
Don't give away my age, Lou. These are secrets. These are trade secrets. But yeah, started in 1985, actually. So you can do the math on that one.
All right. Well, you and I were together before 85 when we were both covering the Loyola Ramblers with Gene Sullivan and Alfrederick Hughes. But let's get into the Bears. Danny boy, the Bears pulled off feats in yesterday's game that they have never accomplished. I ran down some of the numbers just a second ago. What's the takeaway? What did you learn about Ben Johnson's Bears yesterday?
Well, it's a little bit of a difficult game to really interpret because so many things happened that were drastic, right? And I think we have to kind of first understand that that might be the only opponent in the NFL that the Bears could have done that to yesterday because the Bengals defense is so bad. But credit to the Bears for doing what they needed to do when they needed to and overcoming their own defensive mistakes and liabilities and their special teams problems and finding a way to win the game. I think two of the big takeaways are that you've got a couple rookies there in Loveland and Managai who look like they're going to be keepers and really guys who can help this team. And I think the other thing, we knew this already, but it continues to be confirmed, is that Ben Johnson is really special as a play caller. He understands what he has. He understands what his opponents have defensively. He understands how to exploit what's given to him in each and every game. I really think he is probably worth, 7 points by himself as a play caller. A really good play caller can do that. And the Bears haven't had that in forever. Let's
talk about Monangai for a second, if we can. He ran for 176 yards in the game, Dan, most for a Bears running back since A-Train Anthony Thomas did it back in 2001. He ran for even a few more. You covered Walter Payton. You covered Neil Anderson, Anthony Thomas, Matt Forte. And I know it was only his first NFL start, but with the Pompei eye test, how good might this kid be?
Well, you love the fact that he runs with good balance, that he can break a tackle, that he's got vision. So many times I think when people evaluate running backs, they look for the flashy skills, the ability to cut, burst, speed, all that's great. But the fundamentals, the foundation, I think, of almost all great running backs are things that you did see in Walter Payton, that you see in players like Emmitt Smith. It's the ability to really take the ball in the hole, read where you need to go and get there, understand where there's going to be space, where there's not going to be space, and then be able to run through a tackle. It's not always about a 50-yard gain or trying to make a home run, hit a home run, as it is get that first down, keep the chains moving. And that's what this kid can do.
Where are you with Caleb Williams?
Well, I think, he had a pretty good game yesterday. We obviously have to give him credit for doing what he had to do to win the game. Again, a little help from the Bengals, especially on that last play. I think they blew a tackle, obviously, on Loveland, but he's developing. He has improved from last year without a doubt. I think he's got a long way to go. I think what we want to see more of is him finding the right receiver, getting the ball to him accurately. I mean, it's as simple as that. And those are the things that he hasn't always done consistently.
How are they going to fix this defense, Danny? I mean, two top cornerbacks are out, no pass rush. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's going to really show up as they get into the meat of their schedule and they start playing some of these teams. Obviously, the Bengals can exploit you that way too, even though they're on their third choice at quarterback for the year, and they've had some issues too. But it's going. I think they're going to, moving forward, they're going to have to continue to try to play ball control offense, which is going to help that defense. Obviously, they've been very good at takeaways. They are a dependent team on takeaways. Without takeaways, they really struggle. You know, the only thing they can do is try to ratchet up some pressure and hope that they can win on, you know, the front end of the field for the defense. So you put less pressure on the back end. But sometimes when you do that, obviously, you leave those guys exposed because they're one-on-one. So it's a tough call for Dennis Allen. They have to hope they can hang on until some of these cornerbacks come back.
Dan, I know you talk to other writers around the NFL. You're very close to a number of general managers. NFL trade deadline is Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Ryan Poles has proven to be a wheeler dealer. His fourth trade deadline with the Bears. He's pulled off some major moves before. Montez Sweat, Chase Claypool at this point at the deadline. Is he making calls? Do you think the Bears pull off a trade for a defensive player?
Well, I'm sure he's making calls, Lou. You know, he would be negligent if he were not at least investigating what's out there. My guess is that he would kind of move cautiously and not be really willing to give up too much in a trade in terms of draft capital. Because, you know, this was supposed to be a year where the Bears are kind of reloading and getting accustomed to the Ben Johnson experience, right? So I don't think anyone expected them to be in the mix for a Super Bowl this season, and I don't think there will be. So it probably doesn't make sense to try to mortgage the future for something that, you know, could help you maybe only temporarily. But you never know. There might be something out there. There might be a building. You know, when they traded for Sweat, they saw him as a guy who could help them not only in the short run, but in the long run. They signed him to a long-term contract. There might be that kind of situation out there again. And if there were, that would be optimal. But those are kind of rare and difficult to find.
All right, Danny, let me get one final question. And with your last minute here, you were a huge reason why Steve Mongo McMichael got into the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2026 class. And we're talking about now, and sure enough, you've got Peanut Tillman and Olin Kreutz making the final 52 for that 2022 Hall of Fame class. What are their chances of getting into Canton?
Yeah, you know, it'd be great to see both guys in there. And I think, you know, you want to see them take the next step and at least make it to the semifinalist group. And it's a process. It's a long process for these guys. I mean, you see how long it took McMichael, and I appreciate what you said about me helping to get him in. But really, you know, I always say Steve McMichael got Steve McMichael in the Hall of Fame. It was his career, his credentials that really earned him that spot in Canton. And I think, you know, hopefully one day it'll be the same with Peanut Tillman and Olin Kreutz, because if you look at their bodies of work, both very impressive.
Danny, as always, thanks for the time, buddy. I'm going to get you on again in a couple of weeks, talk more about the Hall of Fame and the Bears. Please say hello to your wife, Colette. Great to have you on.
All right. Thank you, Lou. My pleasure. All
right. Dan Pompei, Hall of Fame writer from The Athletic, joining us here on CST. Back with more right after this here on Fox. First and North tomorrow. Yesterday's NFC North slate of games was wild. Packers losing at home to Carolina. Vikings upset the Lions in Motown. We'll have reactions from Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay on the show. You will not want to miss that. All right, thanks for watching CST Daily. Don't forget, you can catch our full interviews and segments on our Fox 32 YouTube page and our website, fox32chicago.com. We're back on Wednesday with Cassie Carlson and Dan Weeder at Hallis Hall. Till then, I'll see you Tuesday night on First and North. See ya!